Admiral Catherine Walsh stood at the wide window of her command ship, the UES Vindication. The stars looked the same as they always did, cold, distant, uncaring. It was hard to believe that just yesterday 7 planets full of life had simply vanished from the galaxy. "Admiral," a voice broke through her thoughts. "The final reports are in." Walsh turned to face Lieutenant Alan Harrison. The young officer's face was pale. Dark circles hung under his eyes. No one on the ship had slept much since the news arrived. "How bad?" Walsh asked, though she already knew the answer. Harrison handed her a datapad. "Total destruction of all 7 Xylorian homeworlds. The Galactic Council used some kind of new weapon. There's nothing left but asteroid fields where the planets used to be." Walsh felt her stomach turn. The Xylorians had been humanity's first and strongest allies in space. Gentle, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms and minds that could solve problems. Humans found impossible. They had welcomed Earth ships with open arms 20 years ago when humans first ventured to the stars. "Survivors?" Harrison's voice cracked. 3 colony ships managed to escape. They're hiding in the dust clouds of the Hercules Nebula. Less than 6,000 Xylorians left. Out of billions. Walsh closed her eyes. The Galactic Council had always treated both humans and Xylorians with cold distance. The Council was made up of 7 elder species who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had denied Earth's request to join 8 times, always claiming humans were too warlike, too unpredictable. The real reason was simpler. The Council feared any challenge to their power. The fast friendship between humans and Xylorians, sharing technology, culture, and defense, had made them nervous. But genocide? No one had expected that. "Get me the president," Walsh said, handing back the datapad, "and send a message to the colony ships. Tell them we're coming to bring them safely to Earth space." "Yes, Admiral." Harrison paused. "The Council will see that as an act of war." Walsh's eyes hardened. "They crossed that line yesterday. We're just making sure they understand the consequences." As Harrison left to send the messages, the door to the command center slid open. Captain Nathan Reed entered, his face grim. Reed was Walsh's most trusted officer, a veteran of the Mars Rebellion who had served with her for 15 years. "You've seen the reports?" he asked. Walsh nodded. 6,000 survivors. We're bringing them home. There's more. Reed lowered his voice. "Our intelligence ships intercepted Council communications. This wasn't just about eliminating the Xylorians. We're next on their list." Walsh wasn't surprised. "How long do we have?" "Their fleet is gathering at Centauri Relay Station. Best guess is 3 weeks before they're ready to strike Earth. 3 weeks to prepare for an attack by the most powerful military force in the galaxy." The odds were impossible, but Catherine Walsh had built her career on beating impossible odds. "Send word to all Earth fleets," she ordered. "All ships are to return to Earth space immediately, and contact Dr. Powell at Xenotech Division. I want every piece of Xylorian technology we've been studying weaponized and ready for deployment." On the main screen of the command center, a communication request flashed. The president was calling. Walsh straightened her uniform and accepted the call. President Olivia Carter's face appeared on screen, lined with worry. "Admiral Walsh, I've just been briefed on the Xylorian situation. Please tell me our intelligence is wrong." "I wish I could, Madam President. The Xylorian homeworlds are gone, all 7 of them. We've confirmed it from multiple sources." Carter closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, they burned with quiet anger. "And the Council is responsible?" "Yes. We've intercepted their communications. They use some new kind of planet-killer weapon. They're calling it the Purge." "Why?" "The Xylorians were peaceful. They never threatened anyone." Walsh shook her head. "It wasn't about threats. It was about potential. The Council has ruled unchallenged for thousands of years. When we formed our alliance with the Xylorians, it created the first real challenge to their power in centuries. And now they're coming for us," Carter said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, Madam President, we have 3 weeks, maybe less." Carter was silent for a long moment. Walsh could see her weighing options, calculating risks, considering the lives that hung in the balance. What are your recommendations, Admiral? Walsh didn't hesitate. We evacuate the Xylorian survivors immediately and bring them to Earth, then we strike first. Strike first? Against the entire Council? Their forces outnumber ours 10-1. Numbers aren't everything, Madam President. The Council is arrogant. They think we're primitive and predictable. We're neither. And we have something they don't know about, which is, the Xylorians shared technology with us that the Council doesn't know exists. Weapons research that the Xylorians were too peaceful to develop, but weren't too moral to imagine. Understanding dawned in Carter's eyes. The Phase Shift Project. Walsh nodded. Dr. Powell believes we can have 5 ships ready within 2 weeks. The Council won't know what hit them. And you believe this gives us a fighting chance? I believe. It gives us more than that, Madam President. I believe it gives us a path to victory. Carter squared her shoulders. Very well, Admiral. You have full authority to begin evacuation of the Xylorian survivors. Bring them home. And... She paused, the weight of what she was about to say clear on her face. Begin preparations for Operation Nemesis. Walsh's eyebrows rose. Operation Nemesis was the most aggressive war plan in Earth's military history. It had been designed as a theoretical exercise, a last resort plan if humanity ever faced extinction. You're certain, Madam President? They wiped out an entire civilization, Admiral. Billions of lives erased in a single day. And we're next on their list. There's no room for half measures. When the call ended, Walsh turned to find Captain Reed waiting. Orders, Admiral? Walsh looked once more at the stars outside the window. Somewhere out there, the Council was preparing to do to Earth what they had done to the Xylorians. But they had made a fatal mistake. Deploy the 7th Fleet to the Hercules. Nebula, get our people to the Xylorian survivors fast. And send a message to all Earth commanders. What message? Walsh's voice was steel. War. The United Earth Defense Council chamber was filled with people. Military officers in crisp uniforms sat next to civilian leaders in formal clothes. The room buzzed with worried voices. At the front, a large screen showed images of destroyed Xylorian worlds, now just fields of rocks where planets once stood. President Olivia Carter walked to the center of the room. The talking stopped. Everyone watched her with tense faces. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council destroyed 7 planets, she said. Her voice was steady, but anger burned in her eyes. They killed billions of Xylorians, our friends, our allies. Their only crime was being our friends. She touched a button. The screen changed to show a star map with red dots spreading toward Earth. The Council ships are moving. Our spies tell us they plan to do the same to Earth. They think we are weak. They think we will surrender or beg for mercy. General Marcus Howard stood up. He was a tall man with gray hair and a face marked by old battle scars. Madam President, the Council forces outnumber us 10-1. Their ships are bigger. Their weapons are stronger. How can we fight them? The President nodded to a woman sitting quietly at the side of the room. Dr. Samantha Powell will answer that question. Dr. Powell walked to the front. She was the head of the Integrated Xenotechnology Division, the group that worked with Xylorian technology. She looked tired. Dark rings circled her eyes from days, without sleep. We are not as helpless as the Council believes, she said. She touched the screen controls. A new image appeared showing Earth ships with strange blue devices attached to their hulls. For the past year, we've been working with Xylorian engineers to combine their phase shift technology with our Havoc-class warships. The Council doesn't know this technology exists. They believe all Xylorian knowledge died with their planets. Captain Diana Harlow raised her hand. What does this phase shift technology do? Dr. Powell smiled slightly. It makes our ships invisible to Council sensors. It also allows us to move through solid matter. The room went silent. Then people started talking all at once. General Howard's voice cut through the noise. Are you saying our ships can pass through Council shields? Through their hull armor? Yes, Powell said. We can move right into the heart of their ships and deploy our weapons. Or we can pass through their blockades without being seen. Admiral Walsh's face appeared on the main screen. She was still on her ship, the UES Vindication. "We've successfully tested the technology," she said. "5 ships are ready now. 15 more will be ready in 2 weeks." President Carter looked around the room. "This gives us a chance, but only if we strike first and strike hard." She touched the screen again. It showed key points across council space, communication relays, shipyards, command centers. Operation Nemesis will target these locations. Not planets, not civilian populations. We are not like them. We target only military assets that directly threaten Earth. A man in a dark suit stood up. He was Isaiah Foster, Director of Earth Intelligence. "Our spies have given us the patrol schedules and security codes for most of these targets," he said. "The Xylorian survivors have filled in the gaps. They want justice for their people." Walsh spoke again from the screen. "The Council believes they have 3 weeks to prepare their attack on Earth. They expect us to wait in fear. They don't expect us to strike first. And they certainly don't expect us to hit them where they feel safest." President Carter looked at each person in the room. "This will not be easy. We will lose ships. We will lose good people. But if we do nothing, humanity ends. Just like the Xylorians." General Howard stood again. "What about the civilians on Council worlds? They may not support what their leaders did. That's why we're only targeting military installations," Carter said. "We are not fighting for revenge alone. We're fighting to create a galaxy where genocide is not tolerated, where power does not equal right." At the back of the room, a blue-skinned figure rose. It was Kylar, one of the Xylorian survivors. He had 4 arms and gentle eyes filled with sadness. "My people never wanted war," he said in a soft voice. "We believed in peace above all else. That belief cost us our worlds. Now only a few thousand of us remain." He looked around the room. "Humans are different. You prepare for war even in times of peace. Some call this a flaw. Today, it may save both our peoples. The Council fears your warlike nature. They fear what our technology might become in your hands, so they tried to destroy us both." The room was completely silent as he continued. 6,000 Xylorians remain alive because of Earth ships, because your Admiral Walsh sent help when she could have run. We will not forget this. What technology we have left, we give to you freely. Together, we will show the Council they have made a terrible mistake." President Carter nodded to Kylar with respect, then turned back to the room. "Operation Nemesis begins tomorrow. The first strikes will target their communication relays. Without those, their fleets can't coordinate. Commander Eliza Ramirez will lead that mission." A young woman in a Navy uniform stood. Her face was determined. "The UES Phantom is ready, Madam President. My crew knows what to do." Walsh spoke one last time from the screen. "While Commander Ramirez's team hits the relays, my battle group will strike their central shipyards in the Arcturus sector. They'll never expect us to reach so deep into their territory." Dr. Powell raised her hand. "The phase shift drives can only operate for 30 minutes before needing to cool down. Your timing must be perfect." Walsh nodded. "We've trained for this. We won't fail." President Carter looked around the room once more. "The Council has ruled the galaxy through fear for thousands of years. They destroyed our friends because they feared change. Now they will learn what real fear is." She touched her screen one last time. It showed Earth, blue and beautiful against the darkness of space. For Earth, for the Xylorians, for a future where no species lives in fear of extinction. Operation Nemesis begins at dawn. Commander Eliza Ramirez stood on the bridge of the UES Phantom. Her ship drifted silently among broken rocks and old space junk. Ahead, the massive Centauri relay station hung in space. It was one of the most important communication hubs the Council used to control their fleets. The Phantom looked normal from the outside, but it was special. It was the first Earth ship fitted with Xylorian phase shift technology. The blue devices attached to its hull made it invisible to Council sensors. "Status. Report," Ramirez said quietly. Lieutenant Ryan Diaz looked up from his control panel. "Phase shift drive operating at full power. Council patrols are passing right by us. They have no idea we're here." Ramirez nodded. The plan was working. 37 other human ships were doing the same thing at relay stations across Council space. If they all succeeded, the Council would lose their ability to coordinate their massive fleet. "Time to deploy the infiltration team," she said. Major Benjamin Cole and his squad of 12 soldiers gathered in the launch bay. With them was Kylar, the Xylorian engineer. His blue skin and forearms made him stand out among the humans. "Remember," Cole told his team, "we have 30 minutes before the phase shift drive needs to cool down. We get in, plant the virus, and get out. No heroics." Kylar adjusted the small device he carried. "This virus will not damage the station, or hurt anyone on board. It will simply make their communications unreliable. When they try to coordinate their attacks, the messages will arrive scrambled or too late." The team boarded a small shuttle. Unlike normal missions, they didn't need to race toward their target. Instead, they drifted slowly, invisible to the Council patrols. "This is strange," one of the soldiers whispered. "They're looking right at us, but they don't see us," Cole nodded. "The phase shift makes us like ghosts. We can see them, but they can't see us." When they reached the relay station, they didn't dock. They didn't need to. The shuttle passed through the outer hull as if it wasn't there. Metal and protective shields meant nothing to a phase-shifted vessel. 25 minutes left, Cole reminded everyone as they exited the shuttle inside a storage room of the relay station. The team moved through corridors filled with Council workers. The aliens were tall with gray skin and looked somewhat like Earth insects. They walked right past the human team without seeing them. "Stay close to me," Kylar warned. "The phase shift field only extends 2 meters around us. Step outside it and they'll see you." They reached the central computer room. 2 Council technicians worked at control panels. Cole checked his watch. 20 minutes left. "Kylar, Deke." "Your thing." The Xylorian connected his device to the main computer. His 4 hands moved quickly across the controls. The Council technicians continued their work, unaware of the invisible intruders standing right behind them. "The virus is uploading," Kylar whispered. "It needs 8 minutes to fully integrate with their systems." Those 8 minutes felt like hours. The team stood silently as Council workers came and went. One worker passed so close to a soldier that his uniform brushed against her, but she didn't notice. "Virus is uploaded and dormant," Kylar finally said. "It will activate when all other teams confirm they're ready." "Good work," Cole said. "Let's get back to the shuttle." They were halfway there when an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the corridors. "Did they detect us?" a soldier asked nervously. Kylar shook his head. "No, this is something else." They pressed against a wall as a group of Council security officers ran past. Through an open door, they saw a large screen showing a star system under attack. "That's the Arcturus sector," Kylar said. "Admiral Walsh has begun her attack on their shipyards." Cole checked his watch again. 15 minutes left. "We need to move." They reached the shuttle without incident and passed back through the station's hull into open space. As they flew toward the Phantom, they could see Council ships racing away from the relay station responding to Walsh's attack. "They're pulling ships from defense to respond to the Admiral's attack," Diaz reported as the team returned to the Phantom. "Just as planned." Ramirez nodded. "Any word from the other teams?" 32 have reported success so far, 5 still in progress. On the main screen, they watched Council ships jumping to faster-than-light speed, racing toward the Arcturus sector. They had no idea that human ships were hidden at every communication relay in Council space, planting viruses that would cripple their ability to fight back. "Phase shift drive needs to cool down now," Lieutenant Diaz warned. "We're visible to sensors again." Ramirez wasn't worried. "It doesn't matter. The Council pulled their patrols to respond to Walsh's attack. By the time they realize what's happening at their relay stations, it will be too late." Major Cole joined her on the bridge. "Mission complete, Commander. The virus is in place and undetected." On the tactical display, green lights showed human ships reporting success across Council space. One by one, the lights turned green as each team completed their mission. "All teams report success," Diaz announced finally. "Operation Nemesis Phase 1 is complete. Ramirez opened a channel to Earth. This is Commander Ramirez of the UES Phantom. Phase 1 of Operation Nemesis is complete. All communication relays have been infected with the virus. Ready for Phase 2 on your command. President Carter's voice came through the speakers. Excellent work, Commander. Hold position and prepare for Phase 2. Admiral Walsh reports successful strikes against the Arcturus shipyards. The Council is in chaos, pulling ships from across their territory to respond. Director Foster's voice joined the channel. We're detecting increased communication traffic across all Council channels. They're trying to coordinate a response. Activate the virus. Ramirez nodded to Diaz. He sent the activation code. Across Council space, 38 relay stations continue to function normally on the surface. But deep in their computer systems, the virus began its work. Council messages were delayed, scrambled, or sent to the wrong places. Their massive fleet spread across the galaxy could no longer coordinate effectively. Virus activation confirmed, Diaz reported. Council communications are degrading across all channels. On the tactical screen, they watched as Council ships changed course randomly, receiving conflicting orders or no orders at all. Phase 1 of Operation Nemesis is a success, Ramirez announced to her crew. The Council is blind and confused. Now Admiral Walsh will show them what happens when you attack humanity's friends. Far away in the Arcturus sector, the sky lit up with nuclear fire as Earthships destroyed the Council's primary shipyards. Admiral Walsh's voice echoed across all Earth channels. This is for the Xylorians. Director Isaiah Foster stood in the Earth Intelligence Command Center. 6 months had passed since Operation Nemesis began. The large screens around him showed the progress of the war. Blue dots representing Earthships moved through Council space. Red dots showing Council forces were scattered and disorganized. The Council's command structure is falling apart, Foster explained to the group of military leaders. Their communication network is still compromised. Most of their ships receive orders too late to be useful. Captain Diana Harlow nodded. Her face looked tired but satisfied. Her ship, the UES Retribution, had just returned from a successful mission against a Council supply depot. They still don't understand how we're beating them, she said. Their ships outnumber ours, but they can't coordinate, and they can't defend against our phase shift technology. Colonel Frank Phillips studied the tactical display. The Xylorian survivors have been crucial to our success. They understand how the Council thinks. They know the Council's weak points. The door opened, and President Carter entered with General Howard. Everyone stood to attention. At ease, Carter said. Director Foster, give us the latest report. Foster pointed to the main display. The map of Council space now showed more blue than red. Earth forces were winning. The Council's unified command is broken, he explained. Their species are starting to fight among themselves. Some are calling for peace with Earth. Can we trust them? General Howard asked. Foster shook his head. Not the Council leadership. They're still determined to destroy us, but some of the lesser Council worlds are different. They didn't support the attack on the Xylorians. They fear they'll be next if the Council loses this war. President Carter studied the map. How many Earthships have we lost? 23, Colonel Phillips answered. Far fewer than expected. The phase shift technology has kept our casualties low. And civilian casualties on Council worlds? Minimal, Madam President. As ordered, we've only targeted military installations and supply lines. We've avoided population centers. Carter nodded with approval. That's the difference between us and them. We don't commit genocide. We don't target civilians. The door opened again. A young officer rushed in. Director Foster, urgent message from our spies in Council space. Foster took the data pad the officer handed him. His face darkened as he read. What is it? President Carter asked. The Council has called an emergency meeting. They're gathering at their secure facility on Axis Prime. Why? Foster looked up, his expression grim. They're planning to deploy planet-killer weapons against Earth, the same weapons they used on the Xylorian worlds. The room went silent. Then General Howard slammed his fist on the table. We've been too gentle, he said. While we carefully avoided civilian targets, they're planning to destroy our entire planet. How much time do we have? Carter asked. The weapons will be ready in 3 days, Foster answered. They plan to launch immediately after. Carter turned to Captain Harlow. How quickly can we gather our forces for a strike on Axis Prime? We'd need at least 5 days to recall all our ships, Harlow said. And Axis Prime is their most heavily defended system. A direct assault would be suicide. Killar, the Xylorian engineer, had been quietly working at a console in the corner. Now he spoke up. Perhaps not a direct assault, he said. His voice was soft, but everyone turned to listen. The phase shift technology has improved. We can now maintain the shift for 2 hours instead of 30 minutes, and we can shift larger objects. What are you suggesting? Carter asked. The Council believes they are safe on Axis Prime. They don't realize we can bypass all their defenses. Kylar's normally gentle eyes hardened. Let us bring the Council leaders to justice before they can use their planet killers again. General. Howard looked doubtful. Even with phase shift, getting to the Council chambers on Axis Prime would be nearly impossible. Not for Admiral Walsh, Captain Harlow said. Her battle group has the most experience with phase shift operations. If anyone can do it, she can. President Carter considered for a long moment. This is our best chance to end the war quickly and prevent more genocide. She turned to Foster. Contact Admiral Walsh. Tell her to prepare for Operation Judgment Day. 3 days later, Admiral Catherine Walsh stood on the bridge of the UES Vindication. Her battle group of 15 ships drifted in the darkness of space, far from any Council sensors. The massive planet of Axis Prime filled the view screen. Phase shift. Drives charged and ready, reported Lieutenant Harrison. All ships report ready for synchronized shift. Walsh nodded. Remind all captains, we're not here for revenge. We're here for justice. Our target is the Council leadership and their planet killer weapons. Nothing else. Commander Ramirez's face appeared on a side screen. Her ship, the Phantom, would lead the infiltration team. My team is ready, Admiral, she said. Major Cole and Kyler have studied the layout of the Council chambers. We know exactly where to go. Walsh looked around at her bridge crew. 6 months of war had changed them all. They were harder now, more determined. But they had not become like the enemy. They had not targeted civilians or committed genocide. They had fought with honor. Begin phase shift, Walsh ordered. Blue light enveloped the Earth ships. On Council sensor screens, the ships simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next, they were gone. The Earth fleet moved through Axis Prime's defenses like ghosts. Council battleships, defense platforms, and early warning systems detected nothing as Walsh's ships passed right through them. Approaching the Council Citadel, Harrison announced. Phase shift holding at 90% efficiency. The Council Citadel was a massive structure floating above the capital city. Inside, the 7 High Councilors were meeting to finalize their plans for Earth's destruction. Deploy infiltration teams, Walsh ordered. Small shuttles launched from the Earth ships, all phase shifted and invisible. Major Cole led one team. Commander Ramirez led another. They passed through the Citadel's walls as if they weren't there. This is Justice Team, Cole reported. We've reached the weapon control center. Kyler is disabling the planet killers now. This is Freedom Team, Ramirez added. We've reached the Council chambers, ready to proceed on your order. Walsh took a deep breath. The next few minutes would determine the fate of Earth and possibly the entire galaxy. All teams, she said, execute Operation Judgment Day. The 7 High Councilors of the Galactic Council sat around a large table in their secure chamber on Axis Prime. They looked different from each other, each from a different alien species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. But they all shared the same feeling: anger. The humans have gone too far, said High Councilor Vrax. His gray skin wrinkled as he spoke. Our fleets cannot coordinate. Our supply lines are broken. Some of our own worlds are talking about peace. Peace? Spat Councilor Marat. Her insect-like face showed disgust. There can be no peace with humans. They are too dangerous, too unpredictable. The phase shift technology was a surprise, admitted Councilor Zoll. We believed it died with the Xylorians, We were wrong. It doesn't matter now, Vrax said. In 6 hours, our planet-killer weapons will be ready. Earth will join the Xylorian worlds in destruction. Then this rebellion will end. At that moment, the chamber doors slid open. The counselors turned, expecting to see their guards. Instead, Admiral Catherine Walsh stood in the doorway. Behind her were Earth soldiers and blue-skinned Xylorians. The counselors jumped to their feet in shock. Impossible, Vrax gasped. How did you penetrate our defenses? Walsh stepped forward. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. Your arrogance blinds you. You've always underestimated humans. Counselor Merritt reached for a hidden alarm button, but a soldier's warning shot stopped her. Don't, Walsh said. Your guards can't help you. Commander Ramirez's team has secured the security center. Major Cole's team has disabled your planet-killer weapons. It's over. Nothing is over, hissed Vrax. Our fleet is vast. You cannot defeat us all. We already have, Walsh replied. She touched a control on her wrist. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing Earth warships throughout the Axis system. Each Earth ship was positioned near a key Council installation. Your defenses didn't see us coming, Walsh explained. Right now, Earth ships are positioned at the home systems of each Counselor species, not to destroy them, as you destroyed the Xylorians. We're better than that. But to ensure you can never threaten another species again, the hologram changed to show Council military bases and shipyards across the galaxy, all with Earth ships nearby. 6 months ago, you committed genocide against the Xylorians, Walsh continued. You thought it would make you safer. Instead, it united humanity like never before, and it showed the galaxy your true nature. The chamber doors opened again. President Olivia Carter entered, flanked by Kylar and several other Xylorian survivors. President Carter, Walsh said with a nod of respect. The council chambers are secure. Carter looked at each counselor in turn. Her face showed no fear, only determination. For thousands of years you've ruled through fear, she said. Species that showed too much independence were punished. Those who formed alliances outside your control were threatened. And when the Xylorians and humans became too close, you decided to destroy them all. Kylar stepped forward. He looked tiny compared to the counselors, but his voice was steady. I speak for the Xylorian survivors, he said. 6,000 of us remain out of billions. We will rebuild, not for revenge, but to ensure this never happens again. What do you want? Vrax demanded. Why haven't you killed us already? Because we're not like you, Carter answered. We don't destroy entire species. We don't commit genocide. She activated her own hologram device. It showed ships from many different worlds gathering near Earth. While you were planning to destroy us, we were building a coalition, she explained. 32 worlds have joined the new Galactic Assembly, species you've oppressed for centuries. They've seen that it's possible to stand against the Council. A rebellion doomed to fail, Merritt said, but her voice lacked conviction. It's already succeeded, Walsh replied. Your fleets are in chaos, your weapons are disabled, and now your leadership is in custody. In custody? Vrax was stunned. We are the High Council. You are war criminals, Carter corrected him. You will stand trial before representatives of all species in the galaxy, including your own. Justice will be done. Earth soldiers moved forward to take the counselors into custody. They offered no resistance, too shocked by the sudden reversal of their fortunes. As the counselors were led away, Walsh looked out at the stars through the chamber's large window. 6 months of war had led to this moment. Not the destruction of their enemies, but the chance to build something better. Admiral, President Carter said, interrupting her thoughts. Reports are coming in from across Council space. Word of the Council's capture is spreading. 3 more systems have requested to join the Galactic Assembly. Walsh nodded. And the Council fleets? Without central command, most are standing down, Carter replied. Some are fighting on, but without coordination, they're being contained. Kylar joined them at the window. My people believed that violence was never the answer. We were wrong. Sometimes, standing against evil requires strength. And sometimes strength means knowing when not to use violence, Walsh said. We could have destroyed the Council worlds as they destroyed yours, but that would have made us like them. What happens now? Kylar asked. Carter's face softened slightly. Now the hard part begins. Building a galaxy where all species have a voice, where power doesn't give the right to destroy others. Outside the window, Earth ships decloaked one by one, becoming visible to Council sensors for the first time. Across the Axis system, Council citizens looked up in amazement as Earth warships appeared in their skies. Send the message to all Earth forces, Carter ordered. Operation Judgment Day is complete. The war is over. Walsh nodded. 6 months earlier, she had sent a one-word message to begin this war. Vengeance. Now she sent another single word to end it. Justice. Later, as the Earth ships prepared to leave Axis Prime, Walsh stood on the bridge of the Vindication. Lieutenant Harrison approached her. Admiral, Council citizens are sending messages. They're asking about the new Galactic Assembly. They want to know if there's a place for them, too. Walsh smiled slightly. Tell them yes, this wasn't about destroying the Council species. It was about ending the Council's rule of fear. She looked out at the stars again. Humanity had entered galactic politics not as beggars seeking admission, but as liberators who had toppled a corrupt system. The future would be challenging, but for the first time in thousands of years it would be fair. Set course for Earth, she ordered. It's time to go home.